Three Afghan men walked down from the hill, each of them carrying a trash bag on their shoulders. Behind them are the ruins of the refugee camp Moria that went up in flames last week. Suddenly, two Greek policemen appear next to them. They scream, "Give me your bag! Go away! Go to the camp now! You are illegal here!" The boys look at each other. What now? At 4 in the morning, they've wandered through the hills of the Greek island Lesbos to their old hometown. Among the burnt olive trees and the melted tents, they've found some boxes with flour in them. The men, approximately in their 20s, baked 60 breads, which they wanted to bring to their hungry families along the way. A boy opens his bag and walks towards the policeman. "It's just bread," he says. But the policeman takes the bags from their hands and walks to the trash bin. "Sir, we are hungry." Their eyes fill with tears. "Go to the camp now. They'll give you food, a t-shirt, a razor. You are illegal." The bread was thrown away. Yes, and it's such a great example of storytelling, since the story perfectly describes the inhumane situation of the refugees in Moria. It speaks to our universal values and emotions. The plot describes the interaction between the Greek policemen and the refugees. It makes one feel empathy towards the refugees, and the fact that the entire conversation is about bread makes the structure easy, it makes it relatable, it makes one curious, and it keeps it simple and focused on this one event.
Hey guys, I found a really informative and quite neutral take on the fires by the BBC. The article is called "Lesbos, Greek Police Move Migrants to New Camp After Moria Fire." So when I read this short article, I really thought of the injustices, and I think that they were trying to show the injustices happening to both the refugees and the Greek citizens due to this crisis. So the article states that the fire on Moria started September 8th, and it stated that 4 men were charged with starting the fire in this makeshift squalor that houses at least 12,000 inhabitants, but it's only meant to hold 2,700. The article goes on to explain that the fire was believed to be in protest of tightening restrictions or a camp-wide lockdown due to 35 people being infected with the coronavirus. Interestingly, the article states that refugees from 70 countries at least were housed at the Moria squalor, and the majority of whom are from Afghanistan. The article goes on to state that Germany has decided to take in 408 families and 150 unaccompanied minors, and additionally, the inlands of Greece have decided to take in 400 children. The article states that the number of refugees has actually decreased coming onto the island since 2015, but I have to say this is where I start to question the BBC's methods of gathering and who their sources were, because I know that the border was opened recently by Erdogan in Turkey because of the Syrian crisis and Idlib still going on today. So I'm not so sure if this is accurate reporting on BBC's side. I found the article's lack of emotional language and really opinionated statements to further confirm the fact that, hey, this might be a reliable or more neutral source for me to get my information from. I would be really interested in how Germany is kind of reporting on this issue, and honestly how Turkey's reporting on it, because I think both countries kind of have their hands in the pot. They have something to say about this.
Wow, so many people in that tiny space. By the way, that reminds me of the concept of digital vigilantism from this week.
In this video, citizens are taking the lead and posting content that transcends what mainstream media are showing in the public. So they're taking a very private view of something that's not really being spread.
Officially, Germany wants to welcome 1,500 refugees, meaning 408 families with children from the camp that were recognized as being in need of protection. Intense debates with the German government took place, with some officials arguing that Berlin should wait to take action until there is a joint European response to the crisis in Greece. Articles published include many elements of storytelling, especially from those that support the humanitarian side. Emotional pictures and reports are shown, often connected to personalized stories, which gives the refugees a face. It also teaches citizens about the importance of solving the situation.
Another country we have focused on is Turkey, since it's one of the countries that is very involved in the refugee crisis. The Turkish articles focus on a lot of facts, such as that the number of people killed or injured in a fire. In a lot of articles, they also mention a very concerning situation around the COVID virus, such as the overcrowded and inhumane conditions of the camp. The camp, Moria, especially was unprepared for this outbreak, according to the Turkish media. The social distancing and the basic hygiene rules were not acted upon in the camp. This has resulted in a lot of criticism. The persons that should have been quarantined did not take the responsibility either. Overall, the COVID-19 crisis has given this tragedy another dimension, which has become very important recently. Another characteristic that has occurred to us in terms of information that the Turkish media have spread is their criticism towards the European Union. One of the articles has a heading that says "Failure of EU." This can be led back to the deal that has been made between the European Union and Turkey. The border controls still do not really work as they should have, and the asylum policies are exactly the same. Turkey therefore might get the idea that their deal did not really impact the refugee crisis. They do report a lot of positive news about the humanitarian point of view that Germany focuses on, since this is something they appreciate eventually. On the other side, they've also provided a quote by a Greek police officer that told that the flames were terrible. The camp area should have been evacuated. People ran around. The police prevented them from going out. Therefore, they do focus on the bad reputation of the European Union, but they do praise Germany for the humanitarian approach to the crisis, since these refugees are fleeing war and poverty. Another quote from the article is, "Many European countries have tried to keep millions of refugees and migrants out of their borders. It shows their dissatisfaction about the entire situation." Finally, a last quote by the Turkish media explains the entire attitude. This tragedy could have been prevented if Greece and all other EU governments would not have turned their backs on people seeking safety in Europe. Moreover, the reports by Turkish media were focused on facts, such as the number of people injured and killed, the missing explanation about where the fire came from, and further, the thousands of people that were fleeing from the flames. Another source also reported on 3 different fires that has been taking place, according to a Greek agency. The reports have focused on COVID and the failure of the European Union as well, but were quite straightforward in terms of their judgment values.
A hobby journalist news page stated that the German press agency uncovered that a published video of young men continuing to fuel the fires is actually not from the Moria camp. It was published on Facebook and intended to blame the refugees.
The case of the fires in the refugee camp Moria have shown us that the reports of many countries can differ significantly in their focus. This can lead to wrong information being provided, and then again have the consequence of digital vigilantism. Especially in issues such as the refugee crisis is really affected by the way the mass media speak about it, and this affects the perceptions that the inhabitants of the country have. Storytelling can be a good tool to emphasize the importance of this issue, and it underlines the humanitarian perspective, which is mostly focused on in Germany. Turkey focused more on criticisms towards the EU.